Alright, this is part 2 of the Beat Daddies, She's All That guitar solo CVT lesson. And we left off at timestamp subgroup 212, a little past the middle of page 3. And this is, this riff goes like this. So a lot of double stops. You're sliding from 2 to 4 on the G with your middle. Once you get there, leave that down, drop your first finger to 3B, and vibrato. And you want to vibrato both those strings if you can. Again, again. Actually, there's going to be 7 times of that. After you do the initial slide and 3, then it's 7 of them. 5B, and then hit the 6-5 GB, 7-7, and 8-9. Okay, and then so you may have to work with the thumb to make sure you got the right angles. Make sure your fingers aren't leaning onto underneath strings. That's the issue when with chords and double stops. You know, when you hear that Hendrix type, you know, a lot of times people go to do the hammer and then it winds up being all single notes except for the initial. So you'll be aware of that. If at any point you're hearing the one string, then you know that you're muting something. So 216, we've got an open G, which was just kind of a little mistake thing he did in there, but it's so minor. And you go from 5 to 9 on the D. Once you get there, leave that down because this is another hold. Go to 9B with your third finger. Go DB, DB, rest. So we got rest, D, rest, B, D, B, slide to 10, hit the 10s, slide to 11s. Now when you do that, you can either go like pick and finger, or you can mute the G and strum it. Either way is cool. And then we got the 12th fret. Alright, so the next subgroup is 221. We're back to some more double stops. 14 on the GB. We used this in part 1 video. And I was talking about how the strings a lot of time, or the lower string in these, when you got to do a bend release off of a bar with the third finger, it wants to slip out. Keep that hard pressure applied into the neck. Bend, release, and pull off to the 12s. Make sure you hear 2 notes. I think the last one it was pulling off to a single 12 on the G. This time it's pulling off to a bar. 14s to 12s, pull off. 14D, knuckle shift down to 14 GB. Back to 14D, 12 GB, and then another one of those, bend, release, pulls, 14 12s. 14D, 14 GB, rest, 12s, and slide. So here's what that sounds like. I'll do a little slower. That gets us over to page 4. We got 2 pages left. And this is 224 into the song. Here's the riff. Actually, really cool little technique on the end here I got to show you. So to start with, 12A, third finger, slide to 14. Go 12, 14D. 12 on G and B. That's our first one. So we have 14G whole step bend, we're going to back that, and then 12 B and E. So we have, try it again. 15B, slide to 17. Once you slide there, start a vibrato and pick 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. Then this part, it's almost like a sweep again. You're going to rake upwards, and you may want to picture like a D minor shape. 15, 17, and 16 on the E, B, and G with those fingers, and just kind of do a slow drag, and then slide over to 12. So you'd have, oops, on that part. Okay, so after that, that's the end of the first line there. You're going to see the 12 with parentheses. That's an estimation as far as the slide, but this technique, work it a few times. Do it again. After that, we're on the 228 timestamp, 17 high E. You're going to do 2 bends, a release, pull off to 15. And then 17, 15, half step bend. That's the beauty of that. You hear that a lot in blues. But this guitar player, whoever he is, does these a lot. Really cool. 17 E, so that half steps, got a rest there. Then we go 17 twice, then bend whole step, 15 E, 16 G vibrato. So it sounds like this. Very cool. 253 into the song, go up to fret 20 on the high E, do a half step bend. Same thing on 17, but you should already be there. If you use your third finger here, back it with a couple. Have that index set up to where it's on fret 17. So we can go half step, half step. 19 B, half step bend release. And then 2 17s. 235 into the song, we have 15, 16 on the B and G. And I'm going to slide that. There's more to this. 14 D. So let's piece this together. 14 D, third finger. Shift it down to where you're barring the G and B, 14. Then the 12 GB with the third finger or index finger. Now this time we're going to hit those two, hammer to 13, pull to 12 on the G. And then 14 D. I think we did one of those earlier too. Shift down to 14 GB, back to 14 D, then bar 12 GB, another one of those. But this time, after you go 12, 13, 12, go to 12 D, 13 D, middle finger slide to 16, and then drop that, no, my bad, we're going to drop to 16 B. There it is. Really cool part. I like this guitar player. Really, really do. So that kind of ends that part of the solo, and then we got the fillers coming in. The next one's at 248, 5/6 on the B and G. You're going to slide that to 7/7. Kind of tricky because the upper string we slide a half step, the lower string we slide a whole step. So you got to shift the actual fingers to land in the 7th fret. Like that. If you haven't done those, they're tricky. Hit it again, slide to 8/9. So you're reversing that process. The 7s are in the middle of those. Think of it that way. Vibrato. Experiment with fingering too. 7D, third finger, and then 5/5 GB. Hammer to the 6G and slide. So timestamp 252, 12 on the E and B. Hit those. And then we're going to go 14 G and B. So you're seeing a lot of little similar type riffs here. Third finger on that. And this time when you go to the 12 G and B, which is our next thing with our index, you're going to hit those two, hammer 13, pull 12, hammer 13, pull 12, pick 14 D. So it's... And there's double dots. That's twice from the 14 GB. It's... 14s on the GB, 12s on the GB, and then hammer to 13G. So, and then slide. 257, we got 5/7 on the D. It's gonna go. That's the first one. So slide when you get to 7, leave it down. It's a hold. Drop to 7B. Whammy. Vibrato. If you don't have a vibrato bar, just try to do it with the fingers. Then go to 9D, and we're going to do the same type of thing. We're going to slide to 11, but we're going to go to 10 on the B. Then 9/8, same strings. See? So we had this. Timestamp 3:01 is this. Wait a minute here. Yep. It's awesome. Middle finger 7D, slide to 9. It's a hold, so you're going to leave that ringing as you go to 9B. And with this, I'm grabbing the B string stuff with my middle finger. You can jump and do the picking. That's fine too. So D, B, D. Move it a half step back to 8s. Same thing. Same thing on the 7s. So, and then 6D, 5B. But those you pluck together. So, open D, and then open A, hammer to 1 and 2. So. Love this part too. So after you get to the 2nd fret on the A string, which is our B note, keep it ringing. Actually, no, it doesn't stay ringing, but it's basically a B7 chord. You're going to go 2G and E, and then kind of slide that. Okay, the last page, page 5, is 9 on the D and B. Use your first finger though. And then pick and thumb. 11/10. 11/10, slide to 12/12. And vibrato and slide. 3/10. 14 GB, bend release. And then the 12th fret bends on there. 14D vibrato. Okay, 10B and 12E. And you're going to go like this. Bend release. So, bend release, pick again, bend, slide. 319, it's 12/12 on the E and B. Hit those two. 15B, pick, pull, pick, or pick, pull, hammer. So we have bend release, pull to 12, 14/12 on the G. So. 324. Bend release pull from 14 to 12 GB. 14D, 12 GB. 12/14 hammer on the D. 14 GB slide. 327. We got 12th fret GB. 2 bends, 14D, and then 14 G and B. Bend release pull to 12. 14 GB. 14D. 12 GB, hammer 13/12, go to 14D, and then do that again. So vibrato. 331. We're running out of time on this video, so we got palm on 14A, 12/14 hammer D, 12/14 bend on the G off the 14. 12/12 BE, 15/12 B, 14G, bend release pull to 12, and then 14D. So 14G and D, and 12/13 hammer twice in vibrato. Wait, we still have a little bit of time on this. Shoot. So we got, let me play that riff slower now. The 331 riff from the palm mute. One more time. So anyways, yeah, it goes up to like almost 21 minutes and then it just stops. So I thought I was pressed on time on that one. If you take these, sometimes, you know, I've got them time-stamped and subgrouped. Sometimes they might be a 6-note or an 8-note subgroup. Sometimes if you cut them in half, you know, maybe do 3 or 4 notes and then repeat those, that's totally okay too. I got them in pretty good subgroups for you though. But that's the idea, man. If you can, there's tons of notes here for you. So within big riffs, we got smaller riffs, and within those smaller riffs, sometimes we have other smaller ones. So I really come at it with that mindset, and I think you'll be really happy with the results. Some of these riffs I'm sure are gonna be new for you. I think this guitar player is fabulous. I don't know who it is. I'm gonna go look him up. But he's got that Stevie Ray style, but there's something a little different about him too. I like the way he thinks with the blues. It's really cool. Feels right, you know. So anyways, if you have questions, let me know. Thank you.